And basically, we have this every week talking about news around the world and how it affects you, what you should be doing about it. If you are new here, I would like you to introduce yourself. Say what your name is and where you are reaching out to us from, or where you're watching from. Like I said, we have this every Saturday, 9 a.m. West African time, so you might want to join us. So today, let's get right with it. What's been in the news, right? What's been trending. So we'll start with US, got global news, but I think today we are focused on the US. The first news is about the Bitcoin halving event. Now, what is the Bitcoin halving event? Or what happened? So last week, actually, I think it was last week Friday or last week Saturday, there was a Bitcoin halving event. Basically, in like the simplest English, if you can process it, right? What happened was that the reward for mining a Bitcoin successfully was reduced by half, right? So before now, the reward was 6.25 Bitcoins, but it was divided into two. Now, what does that mean? Basically, it's something that is done in the Bitcoin ecosystem where it's done every 4 years, one, and it's done to maintain scarcity in the. So when there's inflation, there's more money in circulation. So there's Bitcoin might be affected by it. So what are they doing? They are trying to preserve their scarcity in their ecosystem by halving the reward for successfully mining a Bitcoin. Now it's actually very interesting because in my opinion, that is like controlling the market. But I mean, it is what it is, and I mean that's how the system is set up, and it happens every 4 years. And the expectation is that with this mining event, that the level of scarcity in the Bitcoin market, or that's what analysts are saying, that Bitcoin could possibly cross 100K, which would be very, very interesting to see. But I'd like to know, what are your thoughts around this? For me personally, should you have Bitcoin in your portfolio? Well, I think that the future is digital currency. So somewhere or the other, you should be plotting your graph around how to have some digital currency in your total investment exposure. But which one you decide to do, it's a deeper dive than just this call. And even also how to get started with it. I dare say that the major thing is to make sure that, because it's high risk and it's still finding its balance, that you should make sure you balance your portfolio very well, meaning that don't go too heavy on Bitcoin because, oh, they say 600 and they say 100K is going to cross the 100K mark, because you can be there for a while and be very hungry. No, right? What are your thoughts? Are you a Bitcoin buyer? I'm not seeing anyone say hi. Are you a Bitcoin buyer? Um, what are your thoughts on this? Is it exciting, or are you like, no, these people should get with it? Because it's a little bit of financial engineering, if we're going to say that. Because, I mean, think about it. If a stock was doing that, what would you say? If a company was doing that for its stock on the stock market, where you are reducing the amount in circulation intentionally, you're controlling the market. Yeah. So different strokes for different folks. On to the next news, right? So there's this news that the US government, the president has signed a law, the US president has signed a law, the president of the United States has signed a law that is actually forcing TikTok to sell their US exposure, their US business to a US company. Now, what is the issue? I mean, it had been in the stories before, but it was just a threat. But now the law has actually been signed. Like, it's actually a law. And they've given them 9 months with a possible extension of 3 months afterwards. Now, why are they doing that? Because it's a national security thing. The US government, first of all, the first thing is that there are 170 million Americans on TikTok. And they believe that the TikTok, because it's a Chinese company, can actually sell US data, which would be a significant amount of data, to what's it called, to the Chinese government, or maybe forced to give it to the Chinese government, not necessarily sell, but they may be forced to give it to the Chinese government. That's one. And then, or they might be used to influence the US, even through elections, blah, 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 and all that. So it's a major thing for the US government, right? And so they are taking action to preserve their national security. And there's some people that feel like, the better ways to standardize as against doing something to like pick on one person, on one entity in particular. But I mean, that's why government is government. When you are investing, you also have to consider the government you are working with. I mean, even China has had their own drama. But I mean, in this situation, if they are actually forced to sell, then it probably might be a good thing for some US company, because all of a sudden you have 170 million users and you just go from 0 to 100 in one day. I think so there's an opportunity for, if they actually go through with it, but I expect that there'll be a lot of legal back and forth before we get to that final bridge. Now, just to let you know that this session is powered by the Money with Club. The Money with Club is a community of investment professionals, no, not investment professionals, actually, of working class professionals who are looking to invest and secure their financial future. So we provide financial education, and then we also provide access to investment opportunities. And you can check us out on our website, www.themoneywithclub.com. And if you're interested, you have any questions, you can drop a question there or connect it also to social media and ask as many questions as possible. But you're welcome to join us. Now to African news. In the African space, Kenya received 500 million. There was an announcement. We don't know if they've actually received it yet, but okay, actually, it's actually Kenya to receive a 500 million grant of some sort from the largest, from ADQ, the largest sovereign fund in the UAE, and basically they are going to be funding key projects in Kenya. Now, it's good from one angle. First, the first thing is bilateral trade. Every economy needs some form of bilateral trade. Of course, there'll be benefits for the UAE, but definitely that 500 million coming is going to boost the Kenyan economy. Is going to help with stabilizing the exchange rate. Is going to provide jobs because they're going to be funding key projects, right? And these are the signs when you are looking at an economy that, of course, no country can ever be perfect end to end, but there are some signs that you begin to see when people have good relations that can make them get this kind of deals, and they're actually closing those deals and beginning to deploy. Then you can say that, okay, this country is in the right direction. And I dare say I'm excited to see what's happening with Kenya. Now, the next African news, I mean, but then before I even go to next African news, the question is, do you actually have investments outside of your current jurisdiction? So, I mean, please let people say, where are you reaching out to us from? Please let us know. Hi, I see some people. Please just drop in the chat, where are you reaching out to us from, your name and where you're reaching out to us from. We want to connect, we want to know you, and we want to see the regular people so we can bring them up. One day you'll be the one speaking with me here. Yes, that's a possibility. But I dare ask that, do you have investments out of your current jurisdiction? Are you a local champion? So if you are in the UK, you are just in the UK and that's all you do. Or do you even invest in the UK? I want to see in the chat. Why is it important? Because the world, number one, is a global village. The world is a global village, that's one. And there are opportunities everywhere. Because the next topic or next story or news I'm going to talk about is Namibia's oil. And so there's some news that came out over the week just quantifying the amount of oil. We know that Namibia found oil a couple of years ago, and there's been a lot of what's it called, exploration to know the value, to know what it's worth, and blah 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 blah. But now there's some exciting news around Namibia and their oil, and that it is actually a significant offshore discovery. And so the truth is that when that discovery happens, what happens is that foreign investors, local investors, so we have Total. So the person that was announcing this was the CEO of Total Energy. So you have Shell, we have Gulf and Energia. All these companies are going to come in. Now, what are they going to come in? When they're coming, they're going to one come in and demand for real estate. They're going to come in and demand for food. And so if they're going to bring in expatriates from different countries. So even if you have a restaurant in that space, you're going to make money. They're going to, so we don't know how so there'll be cultural differences. There'll be things that, okay, a Kenyan, this one in Namibian does, but then this is what a European does, and then they would want their own. So there's an opportunity for someone to open a store that provides that service. What am I saying? When there is one asset, it attracts a lot, it builds an economy around it. And I mean, for us in the Money with Club, we have, for example, even though we have people in different countries in the world, right? We have invested in Kenya, in Nairobi, in properties in Nairobi, for example, in Nairobi, and then we're also going to go to Namibia. That's our next place to go to, right? Why? Because the world is a global village. You can't sit down in one place. If there's something new happening, the best time to enter is at the beginning. Yeah, what do you think about that? So I ask again, do you have investments out of your jurisdiction? It's a very important question to answer. Finally, we go on to, and nobody has said where they are reaching out from. Oh. Hey, nobody. I'm not seeing any chats. Is it just me? Please now, where are you reaching out from? Now we move on to Nigerian news, right? So Nigeria received or announced, the Minister of Finance announced that there was a they've gotten a 2.25 billion World Bank loan. It was approved, announced that it has been approved, and the fantastic thing about it are the terms: 1% for 40 years with a 10-year moratorium. Now, what does that mean? 1%, of course, is the rate. Everybody can relate to that. And if you are in Nigeria, you know that 1% is a steal. It exists nowhere in Nigeria. That's the first thing. Then the next thing is the 10 or 40 years. 40 years is a very good time. It takes away pressure, right? Now, ideally, you say 40 years, but then what of the interest servicing? But first of all, remember that is 1%. So that one's to the side. But the third thing is the fact that there's actually a moratorium. What is a moratorium? Moratorium period is a period before you need to start making any payments. So we don't have the full details. It could be a reducing balance loan, which I expect that it may be, or it could be a bullet loan. What does that mean? If you borrow 2.25 billion and it's a reducing balance loan, like your car loan or your mortgage, what happens is that every month you pay a portion of the principal and then you pay some interest. That's one. But it could be bullet where you only pay interest like a regular bond, and then at maturity you just pay the whole 2.25 billion back. We don't have those details. However, the cool thing is that there's a moratorium period. The moratorium period of 10 years means that for the first 10 years you are not paying anything. You are not paying anything, which is actually a very good deal. I mean, for us as Nigerians, we're waiting to see or to get the confirmation of the receipt. You know, sometimes the time between this announcement and actually receiving the funds can be a bit, but I mean, we're looking forward to it. What is the impact, or what would the impact of this transaction be? The major thing, which goes to the next story and the final story for today, is the yo-yo of the naira. There was news this week that the currency, the naira, moved from 1,000 naira to 1,400 in the space of a week. After all our excitement, and I mean, every Nigerian, wherever you are in the world, as much as, yes, if you are in the UK, you want to be able to move on to transfer £100 and it's like big money. But the fact is that with the devaluation of the currency comes an increase in poverty and increases the pressure on you to transfer more money, actually. So this 2.25 billion, when it comes in, as much as we shouldn't be borrowing to support the currency for directly, meaning that we shouldn't be borrowing to just sell in the black market and to dealers and stuff, but it just helps with a little bit of confidence in the current in the economy. It's a vote of confidence from the World Bank that could also inspire other investors to come in. And then with that actual cash, we are able to defend the currency. Now, it's like I said, you shouldn't necessarily be borrowing to just pump into defending the currency, but we're in a very dire state. And the way our economy is, it is structured such that FX and exchange rates is a determinant of a lot of things. It has such a massive transmission effect to the whole economy. Security thing for you to defend the currency. Now that I talked about, I just mentioned currency moved from 1,000 to 1,400 during the week. Now, what is the issue? The fact is, in previous times, we've had this thing where, the currency is sliding, the central bank comes, takes interest rates up, and then pushes money into the system. Everybody calms down, and then everybody takes away their focus from the currency, and everything stabilizes. Now, that is what has been happening. And I mean, for all intents and purposes, it is working and it should work and it will work probably. But there's a slight difference. The level of uncertainty has been so heightened that people are like, let me just buy just in case. Just in case. See that just in case, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy over time. So one of the things that I feel like there needs to be some work done on is the level of confidence in the economy, level of confidence, the approach utilizing help with that is something like this World Bank loan, because it just shows that, okay, calm down. We are not as bad as it is. People are still able to bring money into this country, right? And another thing that would help is also having things like the Ministry of Finance leading the way as against the central bank. So things like ease of doing business, things like double taxation, things like seamless. I mean, the whole executive and all those things that should be working but are not working, that would allow people actually thrive without depending on the government. So there's a lot of work to be done. It doesn't mean that it's not working. It doesn't mean that it will work overnight. And I think that's what people really want, which is justifiable, but may not really happen that way. But I'd say everybody just try and tell yourself to calm down. Calm down. We're all in it together. Calm down. I just want to say thank you to everyone. I did not get one single person saying where they were reaching out from. I'm wondering if it's that I am missing it, but I would love to know where people are reaching out from. And I also like you to connect with us on social media. If you have any questions, any thoughts, please feel free to drop it. And how do you think the country, what's the way forward with our currency? What are your thoughts? Do you believe this calm down I'm saying doesn't mean anything to you? Or you're like, nah, I'm not calming down. I don't want to hear. I mean, it's important to know. So we actually know, we actually like data is also important. Where people are, what people are thinking is also important so that we can actually fix it, not just assume we are working. But just say thank you to everyone. Thank you for your time. I see that we have a couple of people watching from YouTube. Yes. Thank you so much and have a beautiful day. I will be dropping a testimonial about the club for anyone that wants to know more about it. And then you can also reach out to us on social media for more questions.
Hey everyone, my name is Napa Musa, and I am a proud member of the Money with Club. I joined the club a little over a year ago, and at the time I joined, my goodness, like my knowledge of investing and where to put money and how to manage money and make money grow was limited. But when I entered the club, I was really eager to learn. Little did I know that would be one of the best decisions I would have made about my money. But the great thing about being part of the club is everybody, and I mean everybody, is very open to sharing what they know. So if you fast forward to today, I can proudly say my understanding of investments has grown tremendously. And it doesn't hurt that I have started getting a lot of alerts into my investment account, and I never used to. So I have a diverse set of investments. I have a really good portfolio that spans across real estate to creative materials like art and movies. And I also have a very secure kind of investment portfolio. So I am much stronger in what I want to invest, understanding where I want to invest and how I want to invest. So being more strategic around my money is something I've definitely learned from the club. I can't lie, I really do like the interesting investments that come to our table, from movies to real estate. Really nice to see the different types of investments, and then also VC startup funding as well. So that's really nice. And I've made some great friends in the club. In fact, in other parts of my life, I've collaborated with other members of the club, so that has been pretty amazing. One of my most memorable experiences in the club. So I left the club, and during the time I left the club, there was a very interesting investment that came the way of the club, and because I had left, I wasn't part of it. I joined again after 3 months, and that investment, the returns, I think it was 8 times what people invested. And this isn't a normal occurrence at all, because we all know that if you want to become a millionaire or you want to become rich, your wealth should grow in a very slow and sustainable manner. That is my most memorable experience, and it's not a very good experience. So in conclusion, being part of the Money with Club has really been an incredible ride. From a novice investor to someone who is continually growing, evolving in the financial world, I owe a big part of my journey to this amazing community. So if you're thinking about joining an investment club, I highly recommend the Money with Club. The collective wisdom and support, it really makes a world of difference. And you're able to share a lot of experiences and ask so many questions, and as you grow and really build your network and your community. So I hope to see you soon in the Money with Club.
Yay. So everyone have a beautiful week ahead. Bye.